Hello, dear ones. Welcome to your English class. Today, let us read the story The Diary of a Space Traveler. Children, this wonderful story is written by Satyajit Ray. He lived between 1921 and 1992. He was an internationally famous Bengali filmmaker, writer, illustrator, and music director. Apart from Professor Shonku's adventures, Ray wrote many stories, including those about the young Bengali detective Feluda. Some of his films are also for children, such as Gobe Gyane Bage Baine and Hirak Rajar Deshe. He was the son of writer Sukumar Ray. Now, this present story is from Shonku's adventures. Let us read The Diary of a Space Traveler. Professor Trilokeshwar Shonku, a Bengali scientist, has built a rocket and set off to Mars. His companions are servant Prahlad, his cat Newton, and a robot he has built called Bidu Shekhar. Read on to find out about their experience. We landed on Mars 2 hours ago. I am writing my diary sitting on a soft yellow rocky mound. Everything here, the trees, the ground, stones and rocks are so soft that it feels like rubber. A little distance away, a red river is flowing by. It took me a while to realize that it was a river, as its water looked like guava jelly. The grass and trees are all blue instead of green. What is green is the sky. Everything is the opposite of what we see on the earth. I haven't yet seen a living creature. Is there no life on Mars? There is no noise at all, except the slight gurgling of the river. Why is everything so quiet? At first I was afraid to taste the water. Then when I saw my cat drinking it, I cupped my hand and drank a mouthful of water. It tasted absolutely wonderful. I had one sip and all my tiredness vanished. But I'm worried about my robot Bidu Shekhar. I switched him on as soon as we landed, but he did not come or move. What's the matter? You do want to come out, don't you? I asked him. He shook his head. Why? What's wrong? This time Bidu Shekhar's voice sounded frightened. Denga, he said. I had no problem in following his words, so I could guess instantly that he meant to say danger. What danger? What are you afraid of? I asked. Bidu Shekhar answered, Denga, Teril Denga. Danger, terrible danger. He said nothing more, nor did he want to join us, so we had to leave him in the rocket. Only Prahlad, Newton, and I set foot on Martian soil. We have had the most terrifying experience on Mars. As soon as the sun rose, I left the mound where I was sitting. I was thinking of going further in bright daylight when a strong fishy smell hit my nostrils and I heard a strange sound. It sounded as if a large cricket was chirping loudly. Tintiri, tintiri, tintiri. I turned around trying to understand where the sound was coming from, but at that moment a terrible scream froze my blood. Then I saw Prahlad. His eyes were wide open with fear. His right arm was wrapped around Newton and he was running towards the rocket. The creature that was chasing him was not human, nor an animal or a fish. Yet it had something in common with all the three. It was about 4 feet. It had legs and fins. but instead of arms, there were huge fins like fish. Its head was very big. There was a single large green eye in the center of the head. The mouth was wide open, but there were no teeth. Its whole body was covered by fish scales shining in the sun. I ran after the creature. I was still about 20 meters away from it when Prahlad climbed into the rocket quite safely. Bidushekhar jumped out of the rocket and stood in the creature's way. A sudden gust rose at that moment, bringing with it the same fishy smell. I turned around and saw that at least 300 similar creatures were all making that horrible noise. Tin-tiriri, tin-tiriri, tin-tiriri. Bidushekhar swung his arm and brought it down on one of the creatures he was facing. It flapped its fins and fell to the ground. Bidushekhar began moving towards the other creatures. He was not going to try and fight the entire Martian army on his own, was he? Desperately, I pressed the switch on his left shoulder. Bidushekhar fell down and stopped moving. The Martian army was now within 100 meters. Their smell and noise were getting stronger. How could I lift and remove a 90 kg robot? I called out to Prahlad but got no reply. I began loosening the screws on Bidushekar's waist. The creatures were getting closer. There were now about 1,000 of them. I managed to separate Bidushekar's top half from his legs and dragged it back to the rocket. Then I began pulling his legs. The army was within 50 meters. When I went back to open the door of the rocket, pulling Bidushekar's legs, I saw that Prahlad had lifted the top half of Bidushekar's body into the main cabin. I pushed up the rest and climbed into the rocket. Myself, we had managed to escape from our Martian hosts.